Hello everyone, and welcome back to United States campaign on Black Ice version 11.2.1. And where we left off, we were advancing into the joys of these islands and then possibly planning an invasion of Kyushu. Now, what I'm presenting you with here, and we're going to say this up front, is we're doing three options. Option 1, I carry on with the campaign. Option 2, because there's a new version, I start it again in 11.3. And sort of, now that I've done the United States 3 or 4 times, I now know a lot more about it, and I can redo it and re-show all of that from 11.3 and have a look at it like so. Or, option 3 is I do a faction vote and we pick a new nation. Now, for anyone that isn't interested in listening to any of the guff that's coming after this, you can now turn off the video here and just leave a comment or leave your choice option in a poll, which I'll either put in the video or, you know, I'll wherever, I'll put it in the comments, whatever. But for those of you interested, I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on the United States experience. Thought 1 is, it's really boring. It's really boring, and things were not very well signposted at the beginning. The fact that, you know, you don't get IC events and things. Now, unless I missed it, I didn't see that signposted at the beginning of playing United States. Personally, I think a bit of a flavor thing about the nation and about the fact you need to build up the IC yourself wouldn't have been the worst possible thing, to be honest with you, because it would have saved someone like me having to redo it all. But to be honest with you, it is what it is, you know, and that is really the least of my concerns. You're out of the war until quite late on, and that's quite frustrating, and it's slow, and it's not particularly enjoyable. You need this amount of IC to actually function as the United States, to be honest with you, which is, again, not my favourite thing in the world, but it's quite fun and enjoyable to build up the industrial base of the United States, and that is one part of the campaign I've enjoyed quite a lot. Things I've not enjoyed. It's just a grind fest. There's no tactical element to this. It's point and click and jump on islands. There's no strategic. I don't think there's a strategic plan as playing United States. It's just you. This is the United States campaign is what I would say is the most. What's a good way of putting this? It's the most meta campaign there is, in the sense that you must build units like this kind of template, okay, with really ridiculous stats, and just have them thrown at it, and click on things, and there must be a way to play, because I've set Japan as the highest difficulty and made it harder. Now, what that means in real terms is that Japan going into the war had 4 times the amount of carriers we had, and it had probably 5 times the amount of battleships. Now, as of today, we've not been at war with them for that long, but we've actually reduced that number to probably a 1-for-1 level now, and we can replace our losses and they can't. So I can see from a difficulty balancing standpoint why that's the way it is. But I just don't, personally, and this is just my personal view on it, I don't think it's a particularly engaging experience, just to grind through 1 million carriers. It doesn't feel that. My ideas of difficulty come from different things to just grinding through carriers and being spammed by constant carrier stacks, which again we have dealt with, and to be honest, we've held the Philippines. Like, where we've had troops, we've managed to defeat the Japanese, so we've done a decent job, but it's just not an enjoyable experience. Thirdly, I've now got into a position where I own these islands here, and there's no way the Japanese are going to be able to dislodge me from them. In fact, you should have a commander. I'll just give you. But yeah, there's no way the Japanese are going to be able to dislodge me from these island outposts that I've managed to grab. So, in other words, I'm here to stay. Now, there's no incentive for me to waste the limited resources I have, because I've got to build up units as I go, and I've only got 1,200 manpower. There's no incentive for me to deviate from building out just units on here, getting them ready, and then just landing wholesale on the Japanese mainland. That is the way I have to go. So it's literally point your units from here to here, and maybe take some of these islands along the way, but because I own Midway still, and I now own Formosa, there's no point. So, yeah. But now, even if I do land, and bearing in mind I've sunk the most of the Japanese Navy, the Japanese are just going to get a load of unit spawns, because I've tested this, on the Japanese mainland. So all the good work I've done with Navy, and bearing in mind they don't have any fuel and things, they, rather than having to transport all the units that they've put over here, which is quite a long journey I want to point out, they're going to just get an instant unit spawn. So, yeah, that completely just dissipates everything I've done. So all, if I play on with this campaign I'm going to be doing, is waiting for all of my, like, effectively I'm going to just be building as many units as I can for the next year, and that's all you're going to be watching. Now, bearing in mind the game is really unstable as well, and I'm getting a crash every 3 months. Even playing it, I've finally managed to get the game to work borderless window mode. So I'm playing it borderless window mode, I've turned off the water effects, and I've only got a limited number of saves. I'm doing all the stability things I normally do. Even then, I'm still getting regular crashes, which isn't enjoyable either. So, and I've narrowed that down to the fact that the Soviets just have a load of units, and so do the Germans. So when that happens, the game just calculates a lot of stuff, and it causes problems. But it is what it is. Plus, you chuck Japan in there with a lot of units as well, and then you're really laughing. Now, in this particular campaign, the AI attacked the British about 6 months early, and completely overwhelmed them. It meant I couldn't get into the war at the right point, and the Italians also overrun the British in the Mediterranean before I had a chance to get involved. And November 8th is Torch time, and I can't launch the Torch invasion because Gibraltar's fallen, and so has the Suez Canal. So, yeah. There's no way for me to do any of the historical things in the Mediterranean as a result, because we're locked out by the Gibraltar stuff. So, yeah, that's completely locked out from me. So that's another thing that detracts from this campaign. Now, the one shining light is the Soviets. They're actually doing relatively well, but even they're looking a little bit shaky at the moment. But they're going into winter time, and the chances are they would probably turn things around, given enough time, which kind of makes the Germany thing a little bit, not that interesting. But because I couldn't get involved with the British earlier, in 1941, that's pretty much done them over. But I didn't have the resources to get massively involved and hold them off either. So, yeah, fun time, especially when the naval invasion came in here. So, I think, to be honest with you, Japan's beaten us in this campaign. I just think, I've done as much as I can do. But I don't know what else I'm meant to do than what I'm doing at the moment. I feel like I've played this campaign fairly well. I look at all of my resources, I look at my IC, I look at everything I've done, the fact that most of the Japanese Navy is in the bottom of the sea, and I've held the major islands here. Like, if the AI wasn't so shit for the British, then I'd say we've got a really good chance. But as it stands, I just think this is boring and not an interesting watch for my viewers. So, those are the reasons why I'm putting this forwards. Now, I don't mind necessarily playing the US on 11.3 in a new campaign, because what I will do is I will adjust the difficulty somewhat. I'm going to make Britain the most difficult possible, keep Japan the most difficult possible, but Italy I'll probably weaken them and keep them on a lower level, just so that there's some sort of balance here, because it's obvious the British AI can't do all of this at once. It just can't manage it. So that's fine. But that means Italy will have to be weaker to allow, effectively, the Mediterranean not just to turn into an Italian lake. Because it just locks you out of being able to play this part of the game. Because I could probably redeem this, but I don't think I can even get to Gibraltar through this strait. I think if you own Gibraltar, I'm pretty sure this just gets locked down. So there's no way for you to supply here at all, unless you were to invade and take the Spanish state and take out everything like that. But then we're just adding another enemy to the list, and I don't have enough resources to simultaneously do a full-scale invasion of Japan and of Germany, Spanish state by myself. And I won't have that abilities in 1944, and there's no guarantee the game will even be working at that point. So, those are all of my thoughts on all of this. I felt like I wanted to explain why some of my uploads have been a bit delayed on this series. A lot of it is personal things, but another thing is I don't like playing the United States. And playing them for the first time properly has vindicated all of that. And I have tried a few different ways of playing them. The first time was a total write-off, the one that got uploaded on here, because I just didn't fathom the IC thing. The second time I played them, resources became a problem, and I ended up not building enough carriers in the pre-war to the point where I was going to be in a problem. And this is all just learning. This is me learning. But, you know, that's frustrating as well. And then the third time I'm playing them at the moment, and I've, you know, got the happy medium now between all of this. So, you know, third time's a charm, except the fact that the AI has fucked itself as the UK. And there wasn't much I can do because Japan is invaded early. If Japan invades early, shouldn't it get some malices? Or should I not be able to get involved maybe a little bit earlier? That would be my thoughts on this. Like, or maybe you hardcode Japan to not be able to declare war, right? Until it's meant to in 41. But yeah, just some thoughts on the United States campaign. Not enjoyable would be my takeaway. But willing to give it a go on 11.3 and have it try and change my mind. But this is AFG. I'm going to be signing off for now. And I think I will call it a good episode or a good chat there. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.